Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Jacob Fatu has reacted to Triple H's message to the OG and new Bloodline ahead of the Survivor Series Premium Live event. The factions will cross paths in a War Games match. Last week on SmackDown, Roman Reigns interrupted the Undisputed Tribal Chief Acknowledgement ceremony. During the segment, Solo Sikoa and his stablemates ambushed the OTC, leading to Sami Zayn and the Usos hitting the scene. Zayn eventually swerved Sikoa, joining forces with the OG Bloodline and reuniting the faction. On Twitter/X, Fatu reacted to Triple H's message to both versions of the Bloodline. The game hyped up the highly anticipated War Games match. Solo Sikoa received a message from Jacob Fatu on social media in mid-2024. Jacob Fatu debuted in WWE and was appointed Solo Sikoa's enforcer. On the SmackDown before SummerSlam, he won the WWE Tag Team Championships with Tama Tonga. However, Fatu was forced to vacate his title and hand it over to Tonga Loa after orders from his tribal chief. Despite Sikoa's controversial decision, the Samoan werewolf has been loyal to him. On Twitter/X, Fatu sent a message to Sikoa, showing his love for the latter. Fatu wrote, Fatu suffered his first loss in WWE at the Bad Blood Premium Live event. He teamed up with Solo Sikoa in a losing effort against Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. However, the 32-year-old has yet to be pinned or submitted in the company. Fatu and his Bloodline stablemates avenged their loss by defeating the OG Bloodline at the Crown Jewel Premium Live event. Sikoa pinned Reigns, making him the first superstar since Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania XL to pin the former undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The OG Bloodline and the new Bloodline are yet to find the fifth member of their respective teams for their War Games match. As the smoke cleared following Triple H's message ahead of WWE's upcoming War Games, Jacob Fatu stood in the dimly lit room, his gaze fixed on the screen that had just broadcast Triple H's powerful words. The crowd's anticipation was at an all-time high, and Fatu felt the weight of it as he considered his next move. War Games was looming, and Fatu knew this was his moment, his time to stake his claim as one of the most dangerous forces in the wrestling world. Triple H's words had been directed at the entire WWE roster, a rallying cry for the chosen few who would battle inside the unforgiving steel structure. But there was an edge, an underlying hint, as if the message had a specific target. To Jacob, it felt like a challenge, a call-out. His lips twisted into a slight smirk, the kind that showed confidence laced with a touch of menace. Triple H had essentially drawn a line in the sand, and Jacob Fatu wasn't one to ignore it. As a powerhouse in the wrestling industry and part of the renowned Anoa'i family legacy, Jacob had made his name independently, carving out a fearsome reputation with his brutal, no-nonsense style. War Games would be the ultimate test, a chance to not only uphold his family's legacy but to show WWE that he was ready to play at the highest level. He pulled out his phone, pondering how to respond. He didn't need grandstanding or lengthy words. He was a man of action, preferring to let his intensity speak for him. But in the modern age, a single well-timed message could send ripples across the wrestling world, stoking the fires before the main event. Scrolling through his contacts, Jacob landed on his manager's number. "We're gonna send a little message," he said, the deep timbre of his voice matching his intense persona. His manager, well aware of Fatu's style, chuckled. "What are you thinking?" Jacob's smirk widened. "Something simple. Let the fans read between the lines." A few minutes later, a cryptic tweet went live from Jacob Fatu's account. "War Games is for those who understand true chaos. Some of us were born in it. #War Games #Bloodline Legacy." The message was vague, but fans knew exactly what he was alluding to. His use of Bloodline was no coincidence, especially with the Bloodline faction reigning supreme in WWE under Roman Reigns' rule. The post quickly went viral, fans speculating wildly about what Jacob's words meant. Was he hinting at an alliance, a potential family reunion with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline? Or was he suggesting a power shift, a breakaway moment where he would carve his path, potentially even against the bloodline. Either way, the message stirred intrigue, creating waves that even Triple H couldn't ignore. Backstage, the WWE locker room buzzed with the news. Fatu's potential arrival for War Games sparked mixed emotions. Some wrestlers, especially veterans, recognized his skill and intensity and respected his dominance in other promotions. But others were apprehensive, concerned about how the hard-hitting Fatu would affect their dynamic if he joined the main roster or stepped into the War Games match itself. Meanwhile, Triple H, the mastermind behind this War Games event, took note of Fatu's tweet. As a veteran with an eye for top talent, he understood that Fatu was no mere brawler. He was a genuine threat, capable of shifting momentum and drawing attention the second he walked into an arena. Triple H saw potential, a rare mix of intensity, skill, and a legacy connection that tied him to WWE's top storyline. At WWE's headquarters, Triple H sat in a meeting with creative and talent management, mapping out the War Games lineup. He tapped his fingers thoughtfully, reading Fatu's tweet once more. "This guy's not just sending a message," he said. "He's staking a claim. He wants in." One of the executives frowned. "But where does he fit? War Games is already stacked." Triple H raised an eyebrow. "That's exactly why he should be there. Fans are talking, they're wondering. Jacob's got this energy, this edge. He's unpredictable. That's what War Games needs." That night, Fatu received a call. He answered with a slight smirk, expecting the voice on the other end. "Jacob," Triple H's voice rumbled over the line, steady and measured. "You've got the whole internet speculating. Care to tell me what you're planning?" Fatu chuckled, his voice carrying a hint of amusement. "Nothing special. Just thought I'd keep everyone on their toes." "Well, you've succeeded," Triple H replied. "And you've got people curious. They want to know if the Samoan werewolf is going to bring his chaos to War Games." Fatu paused, letting the silence build tension. "Chaos, huh? I thought WWE knew what chaos looked like. But maybe it's time I show him what real chaos feels like. I'm in." The conversation ended with a mutual understanding, each man aware of the powerful storm Jacob Fatu could unleash. The following week, WWE released an official teaser for War Games, subtly featuring glimpses of Jacob's shadowed figure. His silhouette, barely visible, created a frenzy. Fans flooded social media, convinced that the Samoan werewolf was making his way to War Games. On the day of the event, as the arena lights dimmed, anticipation buzzed through the crowd. War Games was already a brutal battleground, with alliances and rivalries pushing every participant to the edge. The match had reached a boiling point, wrestlers sprawled in the ring, exhaustion evident on every face. That's when the lights went out, plunging the arena into darkness. The crowd erupted in anticipation. And then, the screen lit up with Fatu's ominous message: "True chaos isn't created. It's unleashed. Welcome to my world." When the lights returned, Jacob Fatu stood at the entrance, his imposing figure casting a shadow across the arena. The reaction was thunderous as he walked slowly, purposefully, toward the ring. His every step carried the weight of his family's legacy, the promise of mayhem, and a message to WWE. Jacob Fatu had arrived, and he was here to redefine chaos. Inside the steel structure, Fatu's presence immediately shifted the dynamic. Wrestlers who had moments earlier been tearing into each other suddenly found themselves united, wary of the new threat standing before them. His reputation preceded him, and they knew what the Samoan werewolf was capable of. Without a word, Fatu unleashed his fury, attacking with the ferocity of a man who'd been waiting for this moment his entire life. His brutal, fast-paced offense took down everyone in his path. Fatu was relentless, each move a message to WWE and the fans. He was here to make an impact, to stake his claim as a force of nature in the squared circle. As War Games reached its bloody conclusion, Jacob Fatu stood tall in the ring, sweat glistening on his brow, his gaze fierce. The crowd roared, captivated by the carnage he'd wrought. War Games had been a brutal proving ground, but Fatu had not just survived, he'd conquered. After the match, Fatu didn't linger for interviews or celebrations. He walked out, leaving a lasting impression on the crowd and his fellow competitors. But his message, both to Triple H and the WWE Universe, was clear. Jacob Fatu was here to stay, and War Games was only the beginning. With a subtle nod and a smirk, he left the arena, the weight of his family legacy and newfound WWE ambitions burning in his eyes. The Samoan werewolf had arrived, and no one in WWE would forget his name.